Okay. Can we see that?
Yep.
All right.
Cool. All right. Well, so thank you for the introduction. I'll go ahead and get us started. So what we're going to go over today, this is a brief overview. First, I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to recap from our February all-staff meeting. For those of you that were there, we were fortunate enough to have a panel of like hiring managers and recruiters that we had a really good discussion about job searching before all of this kind of went down. So I want to go over some of that, and then I'll turn it over to Megan, who will give us some pro LinkedIn advice, and then we'll move to tips for job searching and interviewing in the virtual world now that we are in this coronavirus situation. And then we'll hear from Abhishek, who will give us some of his real world experience, and then we have some super secret, very special guests at the end. All right. So we're going to talk about your resumes. That's the bulk of it. It should note that a lot of this content I pulled from Stephanie Fayek, who's a talent manager for the university. So I'm going to do my best to present this. So first off, we're going to do do's and don'ts. So do highlight relevant experiences on your resume. Each resume you submit should be tailored to the job that you're applying for. It's a little bit of extra work and time, but it's worth it. Recruiters can tell the difference between a stock resume and one that is at least a little bit customized. Further from that, do optimize your resume for applicant tracking systems. So these are computer systems that will scan your resume looking for keywords and act as filters before your resume gets to an actual human to be read. So in order to get through that filter, you want to keep your formatting simple, include keywords, but don't go overboard, and have correct spelling. Even like the one letter out of place can throw off the filter, and then your resume may not be seen by a real person. And then also tell the truth. It's never good to lie on your resume, and if you do, the truth will come out eventually, like whether it's in the background check or at some point in the hiring process. The chances are you're going to be found out, and it's a bad look. It's never good advice. It's not going to get you where you want to be. Don't go overboard. Sorry, 1 second. Don't use exact phrases from the job description in excess. Some things are key, but if you go overboard, it's noticeable and it doesn't look as good as otherwise. Don't use the same descriptive verbs over and over. Don't include all of your college courses. Some are okay if they're relevant and in lieu of job experience in the real world, but we don't need to see your whole curriculum. It's a little bit excessive. Also, on the do side, use real English, and by that, it's kind of in quotation marks, but you don't need to embellish phrases or use big words to make you sound more intelligent. You don't need to say that you maximize digital output and increase the conversation to your core demographic. Like, you can just say you posted to Twitter 3 times and your followers increased from 1,000 to 3,000. Do include your contact information. That's your phone number, email, and address. Those will all 3 be used at some point in the hiring process. So it's important to have them on your resume where they can easily be found. Do not use negative phrases. This is more cognitive, but it is important. So instead of saying things like you solved problems or you met aggressive sales goals, say that you implemented solutions and delivered on ambitious sales goals. It's the connotation of problems and aggressive in this example that shine a more negative light on you, and you want to look as good as possible. So think about the words that you're using and work around negative connotations. Also, make your resume look great. So do start from a template. Google has thousands of templates that you can download and use as a great starting point. It's a great time saver for one, but it also helps make them look, make your resumes look more professional if somebody else has already started a template for you. You can lose a lot of time just formatting. So save yourself the time and the effort, find a nice looking template and start there. Do also keep it to one page. It's important that your resume sort of fits comfortably on one page. You don't need 3 or 4 pages. We don't need to see everything you've ever done. There is a senior vice president at Google who said a good rule of thumb is 1 page of resume per 10 years of work experience. So do not use more than 2 fonts. Stick to 1 if you can. If you have more than 2 or 3, then it can become distracting from the actual content of your resume. So you don't want to pull away from that. You want them to see what your experience and your qualifications. And then do not ever send it as a Word document. Not all Word versions are the same. So if someone has, like, I don't know, Word 94 and you send them from the newest version of Word, they might get wingdings or something, or it'll screw up your formatting. Always save as a PDF. If you don't know how, I'm happy to show you. It's easy and it helps keep your resume looking great. So we're going to talk a little bit about phone interviews as well. Megan's going to go over this a little bit later in a few minutes, but I'm just going to hit some of the big points. First, do your homework, research the company you're working for. You want to have an intelligent conversation with the people that you're interviewing with, so that's important. Further, create a comfortable environment. You don't want it to be too hot or too cold or loud, or make sure you I don't know, you don't have wet socks. Like, you don't want to be distracted by the things around you. You want to be engaged. In keeping with that, you want to make sure you're awake and alert. I've had plenty of meetings where it sounds like you guys just woke up, and sometimes it even looks like you just woke up, which is fine for what we're doing. But when it comes to your future and this job that you want, make sure that you're awake and you're focused. It's part of presenting yourself professionally. Have at least one question for the recruiter that isn't, what am I going to get paid? So ideally, they want you as well, and they want to answer those questions. They're ready to give you that information, and they want to know that you're interested. Keep answers at a reasonable amount of time. You don't want to talk too long, or you don't want to talk in circles. Eventually, you'll lose the person that you're talking to. They're going to stop paying attention. So keep them concise and intelligent, but answer the full question. You also don't want them to be too short. So if somebody says, well, how'd you do at your last job? And you say, I did good. That's uncomfortable. And it doesn't totally answer the question. It doesn't help you to keep it too short. And finally, still send a thank you note. Thank you notes are personal, and they're a great reminder, like, hey, I'm thinking about you. I hope you're thinking about me. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me. And then finally, I reached back out to Stephanie, and she has some new tips about how to navigate in this totally virtual world now. So first and foremost, don't give up. Companies are still hiring. Keep looking, keep trying. Secondly, every part of the hiring process is now virtual, so you want to make sure that you stay connected. Check your email regularly, return missed calls, make sure that anything that's coming in is being answered in an appropriate amount of time. Make sure that you're familiar with the form of video interview, whether it's Zoom or whether it's Teams or Skype or FaceTime, whatever. You want to make sure that you're familiar with it, you know how it works. Test your microphone and camera before the real thing. Do a trial run with a friend. It's good to have that ready. And then finally, just remember, everything is on Google. Don't be afraid to look up interview question examples or templates or any questions that you might have. The internet probably has an answer for it. It's there to help you. So keeping with that, Megan is going to talk more about what your online presence probably should look like. So I'm going to hand it off to her.
Yeah, so thanks, Nick. So what I want to talk about mainly is LinkedIn, the online job search, and just like some quick tips that I have found pretty helpful over the years as I have been on both sides of the application process, applying for jobs, and then also being the internship coordinator. So I've seen both sides of things and have some tips for you all. So first of all, since we are in a virtual type situation, some great websites to look for jobs are, of course, LinkedIn, because you can connect and personalize your job search. Glassdoor is really great for looking for jobs, but what I think is an interesting and neat feature is you have employee reviews of the company and the specific job and salary ranges. So I know in our last meeting in February, there was a lot of questions about how you ask what the salary range is, how do you know what you should put down for your salary. So this is a great tool. You can type in the job title, the company, and even some of them allow the state in which the office is located, just because a lot of times the office in which you work determines your salary range as well, just because of the cost of living. Some other great websites are just the company website itself. So if there's a specific big company you want to work for, the best place to find information about their job hiring process is to just go straight to that website. And especially in this virtual component, there's a lot of coffee chats, virtual job fairs, speaking with the CEOs going on right now. So it's actually a really great opportunity to connect with people that you wouldn't normally get to in a one-on-one or in-person setting. Other good search engines include Indeed, Career Builder, and ZipRecruiter. And a lot of them, you can sign up for email notifications as well. So you can open your email inbox every morning to a bunch of jobs that you can apply for. So one of the questions that I see a lot for LinkedIn is if you should buy LinkedIn Premium. So first, there's a 30-day trial you can do, which I don't think there's anything bad about trying it out. It is $30 to $50 per month after that 30-day trial. It allows you to see the salary range, compare your LinkedIn profile against other candidates who applied for that job, and tells you how many candidates applied. In my honest opinion, it isn't worth it just because none of these features will actually help you get the job. Honestly, to me, it only stresses you out when you see that 200 other people applied to the job, and then it kind of hurts your confidence. Instead, I would use that money to get your suit dry cleaned, buy professional business cards, put that money into savings, attend a resume workshop, do something that can really further your job hunting experience. So this is just a quick infographic about some quick tools for LinkedIn. So first is search engine optimization. So using those keywords, finding keywords that are specific to your major or your career field. So doing a quick Google search of what that would look like for engineering, teaching, nursing, chemistry, finding those keywords so that recruiters can find your profile more easily. Who do you want to be seen as? So that's all about building your brand. So you want to look professional on LinkedIn. You want to be considered probably not an expert right now since you're mostly entry level, but that you're willing to learn to develop those skills in your specific career. Number 3 is telling us your story. So finding a way to make that job as a waitress or waiter at a restaurant apply to your engineering job that you're applying for. Finding ways to find old skills and wrap those into experiences that will help you land your next job. 4, use a professional profile photo. This is the first thing that recruiters, job hunters, your peers, anyone you connect with is going to see on LinkedIn, so keep it professional. So no party shots. Even if you're an athlete, probably not doing an athletic photo, keep it professional. Suit, tie, blazer, take a shower beforehand. Just try to look clean and professional since that is the first look that they will have. And number 5 is use your profile link. So that means when you're typing into a online application, you can put in your LinkedIn profile URL a lot. It's better to have linkedin.com/Megan Riethmiller than it is linkedin.com/2578 and then like a bunch of other numbers that just looks a little sloppy. So you can go into your LinkedIn settings and change it so that it's M. Reith Miller, whatever your name is. Okay, other LinkedIn tips, as I mentioned, search engine optimization is finding those keywords and those buzzwords, but also being mindful to not spam your entire LinkedIn profile with just buzzwords that you have. So still make it relevant to yourself. So only link to your Twitter or other social media accounts if they are professional. So let's say you had a communications internship where you ran a Twitter account for the company. That's a great thing to link to, but your personal Twitter where you talk about, I don't know, like The Bachelor or like the NFL draft, that's probably not the place to link. I have yet to see a situation where you should link to your TikTok or Facebook, so just keep that between like you and your friends. Think about the summary section at the top of your profile as your 1-minute elevator pitch. It should be punchy, it shouldn't be too wordy, it should be straight to the point of who you are and what you want out of a career. So a great way to kind of practice that is just to even look up elevator pitches on Google and then translate that in writing onto LinkedIn. The experience section of LinkedIn should emulate your resume. So the best thing to do is to actually put the specific skills and experiences into your LinkedIn profile. So the basics of LinkedIn, you can just put the job title and then the company. It's even better to put the specific skills and experiences you had in that job title, because job titles vary from company to company. And so saying director of this and or assistant associate of that, a recruiter or a hiring manager might not know what that actually means. So this is a very helpful tool to just kind of give recruiters and hiring managers more information to work with. So other tips on the right-hand side, you'll see the top 10 most sought after top soft skills. And so if those are things that apply to you, those would be great things to put in on your LinkedIn profile. And it'd be even better if you can get an endorsement or a written recommendation on LinkedIn to endorse this. As Nick already mentioned, LinkedIn is similar to your resume, so you should be honest in your skills section. Do not put foreign language fluency if you've only taken a few basic courses. The example I give is at my old company, we interviewed someone who was fluent in German or said he was fluent in German, and my president started talking to him in German, and we realized he didn't know it at all. And so we didn't hire him, not because he wasn't a good candidate, but because he lied about his experience and skill set. So just be honest. There's no reason to lie, because as Nick said, you will get caught somewhere in the time frame of applying for the job. This goes with Excel proficiency as well. Don't say you've mastered Excel or you are like an Excel guru unless you know how to do complex formulas and macros, not just like adding columns and sorting. In this day and age, like a lot of people know how to do that now. So you can still say you have some Excel experience, but make sure you don't say you're an expert unless you really have those more sought after Excel skills. LinkedIn also has a feature called Easy Apply on the job side, where it automatically uploads your resume and sends your profile to the recruiter without you having to do anything. So you don't have to write a cover letter, you don't have to even do anything, which is great for entry-level jobs, but I would just be mindful that a lot of people are doing this because it takes all of 2 seconds to apply to this job. So these jobs often have more people applying to them. Okay, the main reason to have a LinkedIn is to connect with people. So you should be connecting with past and current employers, peers in your majors or from past jobs, people in the student center, recruiters, experts in your field, and even Wayne State alumni. There's a great alumni network, especially in Southeast Michigan. So if you are looking for a job or an internship, it's even helpful just to connect with these people to bounce a few ideas off of them. understand how they made their path from Wayne State to their present day career. Okay, how to apply online for a job and what is the best way to organize the job search. If you're applying for a lot of jobs, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So the easiest way is to just be aware of all deadlines. The easiest way for a recruiter to take you out of the running for the job is for you to apply after the deadline. Recruiters have a lot of people applying for jobs, so this is the easiest way that they know that they don't have to hire you. So do yourself a favor, just get it done ahead of time. As Nick mentioned, have your resume in PDF form. And along the same lines of a resume template, also have a cover letter template, but you should at least personalize each cover letter, saying like what the job is, what the company is, why you want to work for that company. But the skills and experience section, you can kind of copy and paste because your skills and experiences aren't going to change from cover letter to cover letter. In my experience, the most helpful thing for me has been to save every resume, cover letter, or application packet in a folder on your computer. So the easiest way to do that is just creating a folder. I have like job search, and then I had like all the companies, and then you can have the specific jobs and then the entire packet, whether that's cover letter, resume, references, anything of that nature. So that when a recruiter calls you, you can refer back to your application and understand what the job is you were applying for again. This is just helpful if you're, again, applying for a lot of jobs. It's going to kind of all start forming together. So this is just a nice way to remember what you wrote when you sent in the application. So don't be discouraged if you don't hear back for a while. It does take recruiters and hiring managers a while to go through all the applications, especially if there is a deadline that's further out. So don't be discouraged, just patiently wait. I put in here the motto, it's better to have 10 tailored applications than 20 stock applications, but it's even better to have 30 tailored applications. So this just means take the time to do each resume, to do each application to the best of your ability. The more ones that you fill out in a half-hearted way, recruiters are going to notice. So take the time to really fill out those applications to the best of your ability, and you'll have more success. So continued. Triple check for typos and grammatical errors. Do not spell the company's name wrong. Like that is the biggest thing that will get a recruiter to throw out your application, is just spelling the company's name wrong. Just because that's an easy mistake to make. Be careful of autofill and autocorrect. A lot of us use Google or Gmail when we're trying to fill out these applications, and at least I have it set up that a lot of my stuff autofills for me, even my address, phone number, my name. If I'm not careful, sometimes it takes another Megan from my contact list and puts her last name in. And I've caught myself a few times doing that. So that's just something to be mindful of. You don't want to fill in for another Megan when you're the one trying to apply for the job. Fill out all the fields. If it is in the application, the hiring manager wants that information. So try to not put not applicable as few times as you can. Just because the more you fill out in the application, the more the recruiter gets to know you. Read through the entire application before you press submit. I know some applications are really long and daunting, and the last thing you want to do is look at it again, but this is just a final check to make sure there's no typos, you didn't do an incorrect autofill, and you filled out all of those fields. So I know a lot of times people are asking, should I apply for a job that I'm not completely qualified for? So there's hundreds of jobs online, and so it can be super overwhelming. So you should read the full job description and requirements to see if you are a good fit. When you're applying for a job, especially an internship or entry-level job, you do not need to have every single qualification. They know that you are entry-level and that you will be growing and learning these skills as you go. So if you get to the interview stage with a job, where you don't meet all the qualifications, just be prepared to explain and answer how you would grow into the job and learn those qualifications and skills. And I always say, like, if you have the majority of the skills, go ahead and apply for it. But at the same time, be reasonable. So if you see on LinkedIn, the job says 6 to 7 years of experience with a PhD, and you're just graduated from undergrad, that it's just not worth your time or the recruiter's time to fill out that application. But if an application says 1 to 2 years of experience and you have about 4 or 5 out of the skills, go ahead and apply for it. Just because it is entry level, so a lot of times they are more lenient. And then this is my plug to all of the women out there. Men apply to jobs where they're only 60% qualified compared to women who only apply to a job if they're 100% qualified. So this is just my plug that, again, you don't have to be 100% qualified for a job for you to apply for it. So just have the confidence, apply anyways, and the worst thing that happens is you don't get it. And it'll just bring you back to where you currently are at. Other things that might happen in this virtual situation. If they ask for supplemental material, you can easily bring up your folder with other materials. So have reference lists in there, a writing portfolio if that applies to your major. Engineers, a lot of times you have projects or capstones. Having information about that already ready to go would be super helpful to ease the process of applying to these jobs. If you are asked for a phone screening, take the phone screening seriously because it's based on that recommendation if you go forward to the next round. Always have questions ready. Nick already mentioned this, but having 2 or 3 questions is super helpful and just shows that you're engaged in the interview process and that you actually care about getting the job. Talk in a quiet room. So I've heard buses in the background, car horns. Obviously, if you're in an apartment building in like Midtown, for example, that may be difficult, but just trying to be as in a quiet of a place as possible so the recruiter or hiring manager can hear you. Do your research beforehand. It's even helpful to, if you know the name of the person who's going to be on the other end of the phone, looking up some information about them as well, in addition to the job. So find out if they're a Wayne State alumni, if they like football, if they like Mario Kart, any of these things that can kind of get the conversation flowing. Because a lot of the job process is, one, knowing what skills you have, but also wanting to work with you in the office. So if you show a personality in the initial phone interview, that's super helpful. So if it's a video call, have a decent background, dress professionally, make sure you have a stable internet connection, and make sure your computer is at a flattering angle. I'm showing the picture of that one professor I'm sure you've all seen by now who like turned herself into a potato, and like it's super funny and it might actually work out in your favor, but just knowing how to use Zoom, Google Hangouts, whatever platform you're using will help you get out of a potentially embarrassing situation in the interview process. And what I mean by a flattering angle is not making sure the recruiter can see your whole face, not just like your nose and mouth, or just any unflattering angle where they can't really get the whole view of you. And then use this time that you have at home right now to practice resumes, interviews, your elevator pitches. This is great time where there's not as much going on to distract you. So things not to do. Do not constantly email the hiring manager. Like, that's super annoying and it's not going to help you. If you sent in a submission and you usually get a response, like a no reply email that says like submission received, that means they got it. There's no reason to follow up unless you want to say, hey, I'm just wondering if you guys are doing this application anymore or this job search. I have another offer. That is an acceptable reason, but don't just keep hounding them every week to see where you are at in the application process, because they'll just throw your application away. Do not have a funny email address. I come from the stage or phase of life where we used AIM and we had like all these catchy emails and like accounts. So like Megan's rocks my socks with like X's is not professional. So stick with your first and last name. Especially if you're leaving Wayne State, if you're graduating, this is a great time to get a Gmail account. I don't know if anyone uses AOL anymore, but whatever kind of email account that will be a little bit more professional for you, because this is the first thing that a recruiter will see in their inbox. Along those same lines, if you leave your phone number on your resume, do not have a joking voicemail message. Make sure your voicemail message is professional and that you've actually set up your voicemail. Even doing reservations, the amount of times that I've called people and it says their voicemail is not set up, then I can't help them. And especially if you are in the job search, a recruiter will just say, well, I guess they're not interested in this job, and move on to the next candidate. So make sure your voicemail is set up, and then make sure it's professional. So don't do that like hello, 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 one that people used to do. Try to just stick with your name, that you'll get back to them, and try to make it as professional sounding as possible. So this is important for anyone who has a summer internship that got canceled due to COVID. So how do you kind of write about this on your resume and cover letter? So I talked to Wayne State Career Services and Michigan State Career Services, and both of them gave some great ideas and options for you. So you should put the internship in your cover letter or resume to explain why there is a gap of why you didn't take an internship in summer 2020. Make sure to say what you did instead by putting a positive spin on it, and emphasize your problem-solving skills in a difficult situation. So a cover letter example: due to COVID-19, my internship at blank was canceled. During this experience, I would have been doing blank, but in lieu of the internship, I took the following engineering courses at Wayne State, list the courses, and then served as a manager at my family's restaurant. Maybe you made, like Andrea, masks for frontline workers. Just putting a positive spin on what you did instead. In a resume example, just a one-liner of what your internship was with an asterisk and said canceled due to coronavirus. Do not let this be the focus of your resume or your cover letter. This is only one summer, hopefully, or 1 year of a hopefully long career that will be shown on your resume. So don't focus on this, but there's nothing wrong with highlighting it. Something to make you somewhat feel better is everyone is in the same position right now and understands this situation, so don't think companies will think of this negatively or that you were lazy or anything like that. Companies know what's going on since everyone is dealing with this right now. So in terms of your career prospects, you won't be affected by this current situation. So my parting words of wisdom, and then I saw that there's some questions in the chat, so I'll look at that really quickly before I pass it along to Emma. But my parting words of wisdom: at first you don't succeed, try again. Keep sending out those applications. Even when you've sent out 50, send out 50 more. Have confidence in yourself. Recruiters, hiring managers, they know when you're confident in yourself versus when you're not. So don't sell yourself short. Network virtually. There are so many virtual job fairs and coffee chats available right now. So take advantage of them, because you might not have had the opportunity to chat with these people one-on-one due to classes, but this is your opportunity to do so. Tap into your network. Wayne State, your peers, your place of worship, your club team, everyone is in a helpful spirit right now, so really use that to your advantage to network with people. Follow up on LinkedIn, email, or handwritten thank you cards. Again, in this situation, email might be all that's possible, but I would really emphasize the use of handwritten personal thank you cards. That's something that's often overlooked by our generation, and it's something that recruiters and hiring managers do really notice and appreciate. And don't be discouraged, and do not be afraid to ask for help. So ask all of us at the Student Center to look over your resume, practice interview questions with you, work on your elevator pitch. We're here to help you. But you have to be able to tell us that there's something you need, just because there's so many of you, we may miss it. So just reaching out to us, we will definitely do our best to prepare you for that internship or interview. Okay, let me read all the chat questions and then I'll pass it over to you, Emma. No, so Danny, I would not put the company's contact info of the internship if they got canceled. Again, since it's a unique situation, just saying that you had the internship before it got canceled, what I would do is just save the cover letter or the letter or email that said you got the job somewhere in your email or your documents in case they do want to follow up or ask the legitimacy of it, but I don't think it's necessary to put the contact info down.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then Sharir, did you have a question? Okay. So cover letters should be more detailed than your resume. So think of a cover letter as explaining why you are the best one for that job. So yeah, you should tailor it to a certain extent to each job. So a cover letter should say why you want to work at that company and then why you should work at that company, like what skills you can bring to them. So the why you want to work at that company should change from company to company. And that's the biggest thing I've noticed is I worked at a small nonprofit and I could tell when people were just filling in the same cover letter when they're like, I want your vast network of like 50,000 employees. I'm like, that's not my company. And so I would definitely tailor that part. But in terms of like your skill sets, make sure it fits that job description. But if you're an engineering major, comms major, and you're applying to an engineering or comms type job, a lot of the stuff's going to transfer over the same. So I would just, you can kind of copy and paste those paragraphs over and over again. Yeah, as Katie said, it should be what you can't read from your resume. So things that you might have, you want to explain in a little bit more detail, that you can't do it in a one-page resume. This is your time to kind of showcase yourself a little bit more. And then I think Ibrahim. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think that's happening a lot. So I would definitely just put that on your resume, just like a one-liner, like I said, or in your cover letter. But again, that is something that jobs and recruiters are dealing with a lot. I would write to your managers to thank them. This is an unprecedented time right now, so I don't think there's anything wrong. And then this is helpful that you can keep that relationship going to maybe apply for that internship in the fall or next summer, or even just to have a good resource in your field going forward. So I don't think there's anything wrong with writing to them and thanking them. I can say I still talk to a recruiter from like 5-6 years ago. I didn't even take the job that she was hiring me for, but we ended up just hitting it off, and she has helped me find other jobs and other people to connect with. So you never know how that connection is going to start or what's going to come from it. So I see absolutely nothing wrong with reaching out to them. Okay, I think that's all my questions. So, and then I'm gonna throw it over to Abhishek to talk about his experience.
Thank you, Megan.
Yeah.
I'm going to be really quick. So I'm going to share my experience for the job that I work right now. So I started with one big fat resume. So I created one resume which has all the projects that I did in the past. And according to the job description, I created a resume. I put the projects and related work experience with that, and I applied for the job. The second big thing I want to talk about is you, an employer. So how can you, sitting at your home or anywhere, reach to the employer? So employer is sitting there with a job. You want a job. How to reach them? So to connect to the employers, there are a few ways. Like there is a LinkedIn. Sometimes I've observed that sometimes they share email IDs with of the recruiter, so you can directly email them as well. And the the job that I got right now is from one of the professors. The chair of the computer science department posted the job description to all the CS graduates. I reached out to the chair of my department, and I sent him my resume and the cover letter as well. And I explained him why I am the best fit for the job. Um, after then the chair forwarded my resume to the vice president or the person who was hiring, and that's how I got the job that I'm working on. I also had the privilege that my employer filed H1B as well this year. And I have one more tip to all the international students out there. So first thing we have to check even before the job or the money or anything else is if the company is ready to sponsor us. So every year USCIS presents a data hub file on their website. So the the data file has all the employers who have filed H1Bs. It can be in any industry. All the employers who file H1B, that data is there. So if you're currently looking for a list of companies who file H1B, please ping me or just tell me a message. What I did was I take that file, I put it in my database server, and I can tell you state-wise and the initial approval for the filing of the H1Bs, and I can tell you list-wise and even the city-wise data I can give you for any particular state if you want. Thank you.
Great. So we're going to just move. This is also going to be pretty quick. We wanted to give you some stats from some of our past grads. So we took 2 students who graduated in December, Nikhil and Yaya, and one who graduated last spring, Dan, and just asked him a couple questions. The first was how many applications did they fill out since graduating? And this was an important one because I think a lot of us think you're going to fill out 5 to 10 and you're going to get an interview and you're going to get a job. And that's just, unfortunately, pretty unrealistic. You have to fill out a lot of applications. As Andrea said in the chat earlier, she said she filled out like 200 applications. It's crazy, but it's what today's job market looks like. So Nikhil said he fills out about 30 applications a day. Dan, who studied biological sciences, filled out about 30. He also got a job and realized it was not really what he wanted and ended up leaving that job and then got another job later down the road. But he's definitely had an experience of trying to find that right fit. And Yaya said he's filled out about 500 applications so far. The next question we asked was how many interviews since they graduated. Nikhil's had about 20. He has had a job offer recently, which is very exciting, but he did do about 20, and some of those were in person, some of those were over the phone, and some of those were video chat. Dan had about 6, and Yaya had 5, but a few were canceled due to COVID. And then just what WS resources did they use? They all use Career Services. Yaya wanted to really make a plug that he recommends Career Services and Handshake. And then Nikhil pointed out that he also just really used alumni, seniors, and his employers for feedback on all of his stuff. I know I have looked at a million resumes and profiles, like LinkedIn profiles from our students, and I know a lot of our other full-time supervisors have done that as well as doing mock interviews. So if that's something you want help with or want some eyes on, definitely feel free to reach out to us. All right, Megan.
Yep, I'm gonna stop sharing so that.
Okay, 1 sec. I also wanted to give you.
Hey, Emma.
Yeah.
Sorry, my Wi-Fi was acting up and I didn't hear like basically what you said for like the first half. Could you repeat that?
I mean, I pretty much just read the information on the screen. Just going over how many applications people put in before they get interviews for jobs and before they get jobs. It definitely takes a lot. I was just saying that Nikhil and Dan and Yaya, I've definitely applied to a lot of different jobs. Yeah, that was about it.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing because it like I couldn't see anything either because like I completely got out the meeting, then it came back in, so I was like, okay.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. Thanks, JD.
So then wanted to give you some parting words of wisdom.
Greetings,
Everyone
students
hear
and
that?
family. This is Muhammad Yahya Ali. I graduated as a Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering. I was asked to share my experience of job hunting. The first thing, the biggest piece of advice that I would give to you guys would be to start connecting with people, especially those professionals who work in the company that you dream of. LinkedIn is the best source to connect with them. Try asking them how can you improve your profile and what type of skills would you need to improve in order to bag a job in that specific company. Second thing, this is specifically for engineering students. You and I, we both know as an engineer, experience matter a lot in the industry. So to cover up the gap that you have, or to counter the lack of experience that you have, work on voluntary projects. Ask your professors. Again, go back to the professionals on LinkedIn. Ask them what type of projects can help you develop your profile. The third thing, keep in mind, applying for a job is not a piece of cake. People say applying for a job is like a full-time job. So try keeping yourself in the shoe of people who hire. Then ask yourself, why would you hire yourself? And what will you bring to the table? And lastly, keep in touch with the Student Center family.
And then Dan was very busy with work and didn't have time for video, but he wanted to say to make sure that what you're applying for meets the parameters that you set for yourself. For example, he initially wanted to be an environmental field technician, but realized that he was strongly set in staying in Michigan, and that's not really a position Michigan's not really a good place to find a job in that field. Other examples are if you have a leased car, maybe don't apply to places that require a long commute, requiring you to go over your miles. And lastly, fill your resume and cover letter with your experiences that relate to the experiences they describe they're looking for. So again, just kind of going back to tailoring your resume and your cover letter for every job you apply for. And then lastly, we've got Nikhil.
Hey, good morning, guys. I hope you guys are all doing great and safe. The biggest piece of advice while hunting a job, I would say, there are millions of opportunities out there. You just have to find the right company for you, research about the company, and connect with the people that belong to that particular company. And be positive, customize your resumes, try to make the connection as much as possible on your LinkedIn, Indeed. Indeed is the best job hunting site, I would say, because I prefer that. So yes, have faith on yourself and keep searching and keep moving. Thank you.
And there you have it from some of our past alums.
Forget it. No worries.
No, go ahead.
No, I don't know. I couldn't hear a single thing Nikhil said.
Greetings, students and
Hey, good morning,
family.
guys. I hope you guys are all
Okay, so
good.
now it's playing for me. I swear to God. But it's fine.
Yeah. So Katie is recording this, so you can go back and watch all of them.
Yeah, that's why I remembered. Now it's like forget it. But yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. Awesome. So hopefully this was helpful for you all. Again, we are here for you all as a resource. So please ask any of us questions about resumes, job interviews, anything of that nature. We are here to help you. Thanks, Bilal. And so now I'm actually going to pass it over to Andrea.
Sure. So can you just minimize this so that I can talk to everybody first, and then we'll bring my slides up?
Yep.
So obviously that presentation was focused for our graduating students and those of you looking for internships. Obviously very relevant information for everyone. I know you guys have been asking a lot of questions about what does spring summer look like. The reality is, I'll be as transparent as I can with all of you, and I have done this before as well, but I feel like I do it all the time. But because we had people lose internships, because we had people not going off into their summer employment like they normally would, we have more students wanting to work over the summer than ever, in all honesty. If you take the number of students times the amount of hours that we actually have budgeted, it doesn't necessarily work out for the hours that you guys would all want. There's no way 40 hours a week is going to happen for people who have wanted to work with us over the summer that have had it before. So I think that what I've worked on is trying to do a phased entry back into employment and opening. The reality is we don't know what the governor is going to do in 8 days at the end of the month, right? If we're allowed to open, we will absolutely open again. If Wayne State and the Student Center, or Wayne State and the governor allow us, we will open our doors. It will probably be a phased reentry. So you all know what we have done with our own budget. There's an email that came out from the president this morning talking about 3 different phases of what the university could be facing, including furloughs for full-time staff to layoffs. Higher level paid administrators have already given up part of their salary, as well as the potential to eliminate full departments at the university. So I don't want to sugarcoat it. That's kind of the scenario that we're in. It really depends on how long this lasts and how long before we can get people back in our building to have events, because that's how we make revenue. And part of our revenue, well, most of our funding comes from student service fee. If we're not open, we can't ethically charge students a student service fee to use our facility that they can't use. Does that make sense? So some of those, for you guys to register in spring and summer, your student service fee has been reduced to register because you're not using the rec center, you're not using the student center, athletics, any of the other things that you guys pay for with your student service fee. So with all that being said, what we're able to offer now and our phases, I want to go over. So Megan, if you can share our slides. So our commitment is to keeping as many of you as employed as possible. So what I have already talked about is our phased reopening, right? So as soon as the governor and WSU allows us to, we're probably going to go through these phases. This is not 100% in stone, but we're basically in phase 1 right now. We are essential work and essential work only. For, I guess, till the end of the semester, we've also been paying for virtual work. That has been our directive from the university, is to make sure that you guys got your average pay till the end of the semester. That is not necessarily the vision, unfortunately, for spring and summer. So we have already been paying for essential work, and we will continue to pay for essential work. Our phase 2 will be essential work plus low risk assignments in the building. So some of you guys did this work prior to closing, working on cleaning furniture, setting up the building, putting out stuff that we need to be put out, reorganizing our supply rooms, letting us know exactly what we have in which rooms, what do we need to order to reopen. I know that the ops team did a lot of work in that in that time frame, that 2 weeks or so before we were on full shutdown. So that would be phase 2. That is also for reservations, working with potential clients for fall and winter, doing diagramming and making sure everything's in EMS for them. Phase 3 would be a partial building reopening without meetings. So the Taco Bell, the Starbucks, the bank, the main areas. And 4 would be our low attendance meetings. So we would add on low attendance meetings. So the conference rooms and some of the smaller rooms. And then 5, we would be fully reopened. So what does that mean? Even if we're fully reopened, I need to be honest with you guys, again, there's too many staff for the amount of hours that we're open in the summer. So obviously some of you guys have gotten other jobs. I know there's other people taking some of the opportunities that I've posted and working at mail and receiving, those sorts of things. Go ahead, Megan, you can flip to the next slide. So what we can offer in phase 1, so hopefully we won't even have to be in phase 1, to be honest. We're paying your average wage till I think through next pay period. And then we will move on to whatever phase we are in. So hopefully the governor will open us up again and we'll be at least in phase 2. So phase 1, essential on-site shifts, we will be paying for the hours worked. So the essential ones, the building walkthroughs, the Legionella of flushing of the toilets jobs that we have. And Katie has actually separated some of those out to add more hours in other than just the ones that we have been offering already. There will be a few virtual assignments available, but in all honesty, they're not going to be as robust as what we have been offering right now. I have been working diligently with other university departments to find you guys essential work. Mail and receiving is taking the wages of those who have volunteered. So I think there's 2 of you guys over there. They're taking on your wages for that, so you can stay over there. FP&M has essential work. I believe if everything goes as planned for 10 people up to 20 hours a week. I just have to figure out how to get those hours paid for. So I have been working with administration. Steve Pisek over at FP&M has been working with administration to try to get those hours offered to you guys as well. So I have not taken this lightly. I have busted my butt working with every resource I know on this campus, trying to get essential work for you guys that if you need it, you can have it. What we will commit to is everyone can have their weekly one-on-ones. So what we're offering is a one-on-one with your staff member, your supervisor or me or whoever you want to connect. We want to make sure that we are checking on you, not only, I guess, financially, making sure that you're financially okay, but making sure your academics are okay, you're emotionally doing well, those sorts of things. So we are offering ourselves as an hour. You will obviously get paid. We're still going to continue to do weekly staff meetings. This is where hopefully we can reopen in different phases and we can offer more hours. And then also we'll be more than willing to pay for a weekly social activity. I think this is really around making sure that you guys are engaging with others and you're not isolating, and making sure that you're connecting and still seeing your peers. For those of you who played charades the other day, you saw me make a fool of myself to you all. But it really is about lifting your spirits. And Sharir gave me hard words.
They were pretty easy. Relax.
Sharir, do you want to plug the activity for this week really fast? In 1 minute or less?
Oh yeah, okay. So we decided to do a Kahoot, another trivia Kahoot night. Kish will let me know whatever type of topics he wants to put in. If you guys want to give me some topics that you want to be quizzed on or anything like that, definitely let me know. I'll implement that in everything. And we're going to try to put a little spin on it just so we can make it have a lot of people and also make it last a little longer. So because Kahoot's a pretty slow game, so we'll give you more information about that later on in the week. But yeah, so you guys have Kahoot trivia night to look forward to.
We're doing Saturday at 5 again.
If that works out for everyone else, like last time, yeah, we should be doing it on Saturday at 5 as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
So this is really our focus, is making sure that you guys are doing okay. And those one-on-one sessions, our weekly staff meetings, is a way to give updates. Social activity is a way to put a smile on your face, is really us trying to make sure holistically you're doing okay. I have been providing information to our supervisors regularly about what is available for students on campus. What do we have in financial aid? What can we do to help different students? Every single one of you is in a completely different situation. We are working on these on a case-by-case individual basis and making sure we're connecting the right people with different jobs. We're connecting those of you who need more help with the financial aid office if you're eligible. We know that not all of you guys are eligible for financial aid. Our international students don't have the same access to some of the resources that our domestic students have. Some of the stuff that they're giving out in financial aid is not loans, it is scholarships, and it is grants, but that's not realistic for our international students. They don't have the same opportunities that some of our domestic students do. So we're well aware of that, and we're trying to do our best as well to support our international students who are in need, who may not have the same opportunities. The other thing is I have, I think, 7 now unemployment requests from our student staff on my desk. It is abundantly clear to me that it is needed. The reality is student employment is not eligible for unemployment. There is not an unemployment tax that you all pay into unemployment, which makes you eligible. I've been hoping and waiting for that to be changed. And everything that I have read and all information that I have been given is that student employees at universities, not just at Wayne State, but across all of Michigan, are not eligible for unemployment. So that is very challenging and scary, to be honest, because I know that you guys are requesting it. The reality is, if you've already requested it, we're still offering we were still offering hours until the end of the semester. And so those of which that were applied for in March are now hitting my desk. I'm in a little bit in April. So yeah, so they're delayed a few weeks to getting to us at the university. It's not that I have a decision to make that I can approve them or I can't approve them, but it's literally you're not eligible for it. So when is the last day of work? So the last day of work is technically the end of this, it's the end of the month, or the end of your academics, but I think, don't quote me on this, but I will come back in writing and let you guys know that I can guarantee you one last paycheck, like one last submission of your average hours. So to give you one final submission, if you're doing virtual tasks and fulfilling those duties. We have noticed that there has been, some of you guys are just rocking it out at your virtual task, and others are becoming non-responsive and stuff like that. So we need you to, if you want to get one more round of pay in, you need to keep up with your virtual tasks and your supervisors and make sure you're doing, having an effort towards getting paid and attending meetings like this. Katie, did I miss anything? Is there anything else our full-time staff would like to?
No,
Yes. Go ahead, Katie.
I was just going to say that I added in the chat that for those of you that international students, your last day depends on your OISS paperwork. Yeah. So a lot of you, it's 4:30, but that just might depend on some documentation. And I would just add that the next step from here is one on, just like in the beginning of this closure, where we individually talked with you all. Again, as Andrea said, we know everybody has a different story, different situation. So we're going to be reaching out to you individually to find out what kind of your situation looks like moving ahead, knowing that it might have even changed since when we first talked, and just ask that you be responsive as we're reaching out to you. So
Absolutely. And I do have a slide here for phase 2, which is all of phase 1, which I've already talked about phase 2, but we didn't show the slide, and then all of the different building assignments. So I am hopeful that we can get to phase 2 soon. But I'm not sure. It just really depends on what the governor's orders are on what we can offer. So are there any questions from all of you on this?
I have a couple of quick questions.
Sure.
One of them is, do the one-on-ones, do they count towards our hours?
Yep. So we will pay you for your one-on-one. And you can have one for an hour weekly. Obviously we're here for you if you need to talk to us more often than that, but so you'll get paid for your one-on-one, you'll get paid for attending our staff training, and you'll get paid for attending the social activity for the week.
And
then
my second
ahead.
question is, once the building's actually reopened and we can start getting in there, how long do you think that the phases are gonna last until we can fully reopen, or is that just depend on people coming in, making reservations and stuff?
Yeah. So I wish I had a crystal ball to actually answer that question, because that's what we all sit around and think about a lot as full-time staff. And I know I meet regularly with other directors on campus too, to see what we can do. The honest truth is that things aren't going to be back to normal for us for a while until, think about it, a 500-person lecture in community arts is probably one of the last things that's going to be released back from the state, as well as, are people even going to want to book events like that? Even if it's allowable, will they book it? We do know our primary business is not only events, but it's being a facility for our students. And I think that business will return to normal faster than our event business will. So I would love that a magic wand would come and we have a vaccine or something like that, and we can reopen and get right back to normal quickly, but I don't see it happening. I think that we'll be in phase 2 or 3 for a little while. Any other questions?
Yeah, really quickly. So you said no matter what, we're going to be in phase 1, like whatever happens in 8 days.
So we could very, very quickly go to phase 2, right? But phase 1 is the bare minimum that we can offer. And so that's, you know what I mean? That is, if there's no loosening of anything, if we have another 3 weeks of exactly what we have from the governor today, that's what we can offer. If in a couple days we have a release from the governor that there's some like construction can happen again, or some of the other things out there, I'm confident that we would probably, I'm not 100%, I can't guarantee it, but we would be released into phase 2, which then we could at least have some of the cleaning tasks and some of the stuff happening that we had, some of your first assignments, mostly in ops, but when we first started to close down, some of those tasks that we had started that we never finished. And we have a pretty robust list of those items that we can keep people working on. Does that make sense, Danny? Anything else? So I will leave this, am I the last one of the day to talk? Anything else? So I will leave you with this. We are committed to helping you. We are not going to leave you stranded. I can only offer what I can offer. I also have to pay the electricity to keep the building open when we can reopen. I've cut all of our travel for staff. I mean, there's things that were low-hanging fruit that I was able to just eliminate from the budget. And so that goes for, I don't know, there's a thousand things in there that we, I don't know, I feel like Katie and I look at that budget all the time to eliminate stuff. Like, we don't have to fix things. We don't have to, there's things that we just took out. Today, for example, I changed a drawing in the esports facility that saved us $10,000. It's not as nice, but at this point, we're going to take whatever money we can save. We've limited our dumpster pickups to save a teeny little bit there. We're doing anything and everything we can to make sure that we can open, that we can be fiscally responsible, and that we can support you guys through this. So please reach out to your staff or your supervisors, to me directly. And as soon as we can open those doors and as soon as we can get you back to work, that's exactly what we're going to do. So. All righty. Anything else for the good of the whole?
I would just say, in case this is the last meeting for our graduates, congratulations again. And I know Michael passed his qualifying exams for his master's program.
Woo-hoo.
Awesome. And thank you all, our graduates.
And all of our graduates, there's some of them who've already gotten employment, and we are super proud of you. And for those of you who need help and references, we're always here to help you. Still welcome to join. We've actually had a couple of people ask, like, we can't necessarily pay some of our graduates, but you are always part of our family. You're welcome to come to our meetings and social activities and that. So please stay connected with us, okay? All right. Bye, everybody. Alyssa can chicken squeak us off. Oh, she has to go get it. All right. Have a great day.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye, everyone.